So, good morning. This is Thanksgiving, so very happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And even Donald Trump, who's just right down the road here. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Donald. And finally, there's good news out of Gaza. Let's hope to hell this exchange goes off and that those civilians, at least, including that 3-year-old little girl, as cute as she can be, that they're going to be out of there finally. What kind of people use little children as pawns? It's just beyond the pale. Anyway, don't want to squelch the deal, but this looks like good news in the making. So that was a great way for all of us just to begin Thanksgiving. And wouldn't it be nice if someday they could just stop doing this to each other over there? It's just horrible, and particularly because it brings me to my next topic, which is Coco. No, George, we're not serving Coco, and what are you doing with that Bloody Mary here? I know it's Thanksgiving, but you started drinking that thing at 5 in the morning. This is why they're going to throw you out of Congress. And you're always welcome here, right? George Santos has a home here with Irish Magnifico, which I understand you've been calling yourself that too, but that's okay, because you're a personal friend, and I don't care what happens to you politically, you're always welcome here. Why? Because Francois, my little doggy, thinks you're a wonderful person, and he says you're the most truthful person in Congress. Kind of a low bar, but still, that's what he says. He's a French bulldog. What the hell does he know? Barely speaks English. So Coco is not the drink, it's a movie. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, or you're one of those people like my father used to be, who like a cartoon, they didn't watch cartoons. I think he secretly did. You don't get to be an Air Force colonel without watching cartoons once in a while. So, but anyway, Coco is a cartoon about a little boy, and I'm not going to give away the plot, although you can probably figure it out within the first 2 minutes. But it's a little boy, he's a Mexican boy, and it has to do with him becoming involved with dead people on the Dia de Muertos, which is the Mexican version of Halloween. And a quick digression, I do this, that it's very similar to the original Halloween, which is the Irish celebration of Samhain, which was the day that the dead came back. Those who died that year would come back, and in order to pacify them, they would have rituals and put treats and stuff outside the perimeters of the village and so on. That's how it began. That was called Samhain. The Dia de Muertos is similar in that it's a one day when the dead come back. However, they don't come back to harass people, and it's not limited to that day. And they come back to visit their family and friends, and it's a high holy day in Ireland and in Mexico. So this all involves this little kid and his interaction with people on the Dia de Muertos. And that's about it. I'm not going to give away the plot. But what they did, and it's just Pixar, Disney Pixar, is they have an orchestra. And so we went to see this Coco, the movie, which I had already seen, of course. I always see the great ones when they come out. Gone with the Wind. Can't think of any other great ones. But anyway, I always go see the great ones when they come out. And just as this thing with an orchestra in the movie, that's what they used to do when I was a kid before they had talking films. We had the silent films, the most memorable of which was Birth of a Nation. And Birth of a Nation, which was the birth of the Klan, which today I don't think they would show anywhere because it puts the Klan in a good light. It's not nearly as racist as everybody seems to think it is, the movie, because black people were also shown in a good light. But it was Birth of a Nation, and it was famous because the music was all classical music, and so it would travel with the orchestra where it was showing you to get the symphony from the local community, and including the New York, I think the New York Philharmonic and the Los Angeles Philharmonic and the Indianapolis. Wherever they would go, they would have a wonderful orchestra there, and they'd play all these beautiful classical songs throughout the movie. Well, that's what they did here, except here they actually was a talkie, and people, unlike when I was a kid, they didn't have these talkies. Now they have talkies where people actually, if you go to the movies today, and many of you have not, but if you go, you'll see that the characters actually talk to each other. And sometimes, if it's a foreign film, they actually dub in the English language. Or if you're watching it in Spain, and it's an American movie, they would dub in the Spanish in that movie. But I know this is a little bit technical for all of you guys, so I'm gonna stay away from this subject. It's easy for me because I was a physics major, so I understand, dubbing and talkies and philharmonic, those types of things, which we all studied because I was at Michigan, where culture is king. Yeah, I know what you're going to say about the sign stealing at Michigan. I'm not going there. I don't believe in digressing. But it certainly isn't Harborough's fault. It's just those other people who are bitter because Michigan's kicking their butts, which hopefully they're going to do to the Ohio State thugs. You think Hamas is bad? Ha! Get a load of that Ohio State football team. They make Hamas look like angels with a capital A. I spell the rest of it, but I can't spell that well. Because I majored in physics and math. I was not a speller, for crying out loud. Also, I went to law school where you learn Latin, and so that threw me off completely. Why am I digressing? Can't help myself. So, Coco. Back to Coco. So they had an actual orchestra playing the music to this wonderful thing. But what struck me is I was feeling, frankly, a little down about what's going on in Gaza and the general category of man's inhumanity to man. And then I see all these people hating each other because, oh, you like Trump, then I hate you. Well, you like Biden, well, I hate you. I'm like, I have lots of friends. I have lots of relatives. Okay, I don't have lots of friends, but I have some friends. The friends I have, lots of the friends I have, the few that I have, and the relatives who will speak to me, which is not that many, but of that small group, a lot of them are Trump supporters. I'm not. And we joke with each other about whom we like politically. Nobody ever dislikes anybody. We're done with that topic, and we move on to a real topic like football or Thanksgiving or Samhain, or what I usually complain about is my dog, Francois Pierre, who shows me total disrespect on every day except this one because he sleeps through Halloween. So, anyway, the point is, I don't have personal animosity toward anybody because of their political views, and I don't know anybody who has political animosity toward me because of my views. Our views are our views. We don't let that interfere with everything else that goes on in our relationships. So I know people say, well, a person's views reflect the values. Not necessarily. I know people who like Donald Trump just because they think he sticks it to the man. Okay, which is the same thought that a lot of people, a lot of the hippies I had, when I wasn't one of them, thank God. But they had a lot of that same philosophy, stick it to the man. And they see Donald Trump the same way, he sticks it to the man. And some of them like him because he speaks his mind. Some of them like him because they think he's funny. Some of them like him because he overeats. I personally, I kind of like that about him too. Makes me feel less guilty. Especially today on Samhain or Dia de Muerto, or whatever the hell this holiday is today. So, in the midst of all of that, I'm feeling a little down about this, very down about what's going on. And if you've seen my previous podcasts, you'll know that I've been very upset primarily with what the Benjamin Netanyahu's armed forces are doing to the citizens and civilians in Gaza. But I'm also upset with what the Hamas people did to these people, particularly the kids that they took at gunpoint, the unarmed, helpless civilians they shot down and murdered. I understand there were atrocities committed. I haven't seen that verified, but if there were, beheadings, the whole thing was depressing. And then I went to this concert of Coco, and the first of all, it did start off on a negative note, and I have to tell you this because I'm honest. But there were, and even today, I don't even like talking about it, there were little kids in the audience. Yeah, that's right, not one or two, but a whole bunch of them were in this audience. I don't know what parents think, taking their little kids to see a scary movie about skeletons running around. So I got into it with a couple of these kids, I'll admit it. They were, I think, 3 and 4. And I had some candy, and they wanted it, and I wasn't going to give it to them. And so an altercation ensued, and in the course of this melee, the 3-year-old, which is a little girl, I'm sure she bit me. And because I have a little pink mark on my arm, and I just thank God she didn't have teeth. Can you imagine? I could have had diseases right now. I could have germs running rampant through my body. My body has enough problems as it is without being bitten by a 3-year-old. So then the guards came in, and their parents started getting involved. So I said, "Butt out. This is between me and them." And I said, and the guards came in and said, "What are you doing, fighting with these kids?" I said, "Well, I'm glad you're here because it's 2 against 1. These little brats are attacking me for my candy." Anyway, we finally settled everything. What's this? Oh, okay. Acrobat quit unexpectedly. What? Skip this. I hope you didn't see that. Some thing popped up on my TV screen that says acrobat. What acrobats? I don't have any acrobats in here. The closest thing I have an acrobat is Francois Pierre, and his acrobatic trick is turning around while he's in bed. So I hope that didn't mess up this wonderful broadcast. So anyway, we finally settled it. I gave these kids some of my candy, which was like ransom, and the little girl took her mouth off my arm where she was doing serious damage during this whole altercation. And so they pried these kids off of me, and they went back sniveling to their parents, and I was able to watch the rest of the play in peace. So I'm just telling you this in case you read something about it in the papers and they get a different slant on this event. I'll tell you this, it was bone-chilling. We've been attacked by a couple of toddlers, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure most of you have, because they run rampant in this country. So, at the end of the movie, which was kind of heartwarming, all of these people were crying, people were hugging each other, and I'm thinking, people, generally speaking, I don't care who they are filled with love. They love each other. They love their families. Music brings them together. And we have so much going on that's so positive in this country, and a work like that movie, the orchestra, the music, the whole thing was just beautiful. And when we have things like that pull I said, you know what, the human race is really pretty damn good. And we've got to find a way to get past these ridiculous, complicated but stupid fights all the time. I mean, what's going on in Ukraine is horrible. Yeah, and why? And human beings are doing this, to each other. Human beings who, if having a chance to be together, would be good friends. Yeah, but I don't know. It's sad, and on one hand, on the other hand, it's I felt very optimistic and good. I had a good overall feeling, not so much because of the movie and the music, but because of the audience. So I hope I'm ending on that note, and I'm sorry about having to tell you about the attack on me. Of course, I discussed this with Francois, who said, "Well, Daddy, you had it coming to you." So one word of advice is don't ever look to your dog for solace and comfort and affirmation. Because if your dog is anything like my dog, and I suspect that your dogs are, you're just not going to get it from them. So don't even bother trying. Anyway, with that note, I do really wish you sincerely a happy Halloween. And if you have children, which unfortunately I don't, but I do have cousins and friends with children, so I just sort of adopt them. Actually, they're grandchildren now. Oh my God, don't ever grow old. And don't let them tell you, well, the alternative is worse. And what's the alternative? Well, dying. No, the alternative is not growing old, just staying young. That's why I live in Florida. I'm still looking for Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth. And you know what? I'm going to find that damn